Hey everyone, and welcome back to the EMT Spot's Blood Pressure Podcast. I'm Samuel Harrison, and I am so ready for today's deep dive. We're tackling something I think we can all relate to, work stress. But we're going deeper than just the surface level, oh my job complaints. We're looking at how work stress specifically impacts blood pressure, and most importantly, what we can actually do about it.
Yeah, it's a silent danger, that's for sure. High blood pressure is often called the silent killer because you often don't even know you have it until it leads to serious problems like a heart attack or stroke.
Exactly. And to kick things off, here's a stat that blew my mind. A 2021 Gallup report found that Filipino workers are the most stressed out in all of Southeast Asia. So we're going to dig into what's going on there, why it matters for all of us, and what we can learn from some experts in the Philippines who are tackling this head on.
You know, it's interesting. A little bit of pressure can be a good thing. Think deadlines or those challenging projects that push you to do your best. But it's that chronic grinding stress that's the real issue. When stress is a constant companion, that's when it starts to wreak havoc on our bodies and especially on our blood pressure.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of how this whole stress-blood pressure connection actually works. Sometimes I get a headache or feel nauseous when work is crazy busy. I just figured that was my body's way of saying, dude, take a break.
Mm-hmm.
But it sounds like there's more going on beneath the surface.
Absolutely. It all boils down to our body's fight or flight response. When we're stressed, our bodies release a cocktail of hormones, primarily cortisol and adrenaline. They're designed to help us deal with immediate threats, like running from a saber-toothed tiger or something.
Okay, so far so good. I'm not running from any tigers at the office, at least not yet.
Right. But here's the catch. These hormones cause your heart to beat faster and your blood vessels to constrict, which temporarily boosts your blood pressure. It gives you that burst of energy and focus you need to deal with the perceived danger.
So basically my body thinks my overflowing inbox is a saber-toothed tiger.
Oh, not quite. But it does react in a similar way, physiologically speaking. And while this response is great for short bursts, it becomes a problem when we're dealing with chronic stress. Imagine being in that heightened state of alert day after day. That sustained elevation in blood pressure can damage your arteries, making you more susceptible to heart disease, stroke, and a whole host of other health issues.
So it's like my body is stuck in overdrive. Even though I'm just sitting at my desk trying to meet a deadline. No wonder I feel so exhausted all the time.
Exactly. And to make matters worse when we're stressed, we tend to reach for unhealthy coping mechanisms. Smoking, drinking more, loading up on junk food, and skipping the gym.
Oh, tell me about it. My go-to stress reliever used to be a bag of chips and a giant soda. Not exactly a recipe for a healthy heart rate.
Right. Not quite. And these habits just compound the problem, further increasing your risk of high blood pressure. It's a vicious cycle that can be tough to break. But here's the good news. There are things we can do to combat work stress and protect our hearts.
Okay, I'm all ears. What can we do to break free from this stress-induced blood pressure spiral?
Well, some advice from Makati Medical Center, a leading hospital in the Philippines, might surprise you. They recommend bringing back some traditional Filipino dietary practices, which, when you think about it, were developed in a time when stress was probably a lot more physical and less, email-induced.
Interesting. So what are we talking about? Swapping out my afternoon coffee for a bowl of... What are some traditional Filipino foods again?
Well, there's a huge variety, but things like fresh fruits and vegetables, lean proteins and fish are staples. And a lot of their dishes incorporate herbs and spices that have been shown to have health benefits, particularly for heart health.
Okay, that actually sounds pretty delicious and doable. I'm always up for trying new recipes.
And it ties in nicely with another recommendation they have, embracing Meatless Mondays. It's a global movement that encourages people to reduce their meat consumption for both health and environmental reasons.
I've heard of that. So it's like a double whammy, good for the planet and good for my blood pressure. I'm in.
Exactly. Even small changes like that can make a big difference in your overall health and well-being.
Okay, so we've got diet covered. What else can we do to tame this stress monster and keep our blood pressure in check?
Well, alongside those dietary shifts, the Makati Medical Center emphasizes something we often overlook in our fast-paced world, the power of moving our bodies.
Okay, I knew this was coming. Exercise, right? But honestly, when I'm stressed and swamped, the last thing I want to do is hit the gym. It feels like just another item on my never-ending to-do list.
I hear you. But think about it this way. Exercise isn't just about building muscles or burning calories. It's a powerful way to actually counteract those stress hormones we were talking about earlier.
Really?
How does that work? When you exercise, your body releases endorphins, which have mood-boosting and pain-relieving effects. Think of them as your body's natural chill pills. They help counter the negative effects of cortisol and adrenaline, reducing feelings of anxiety and tension.
So it's like a chemical battle going on inside my body. And exercise gives the good guys reinforcements.
You could say that. And it's not just about the chemical changes. Exercise also helps you sleep better, improves your energy levels, and boosts your overall sense of well-being, all of which helps you handle stress more effectively.
Are you starting to convince me? But I need some practical tips here. What kind of exercise are we talking about? Do I need to train for a marathon to reap the benefits?
Definitely not. Even moderate exercise can make a huge difference. The key is to find something you enjoy and can fit into your routine.
Okay, give me some examples. What are some easy ways to get moving without turning my life upside down?
Well, the Daily Tribune article had some great suggestions specifically for busy professionals. They suggested forming walking groups with your colleagues during your lunch break, exploring the city together, and getting some fresh air and exercise.
See, that's something I could actually get behind. It's social, it gets you out of the office, and it doesn't feel like a chore.
Exactly. They also highlighted the growing popularity of yoga and meditation in the Philippines as a way to unwind after a long day. Even just a few minutes of deep breathing exercises can help calm your nervous system and lower your blood pressure.
I've heard great things about yoga. Maybe it's time I finally try it out. But what about those days when I'm feeling totally overwhelmed and can't even imagine leaving the house, let alone going for a run or attending a yoga class?
Those are the days when it's crucial to remember the power of small steps. Even 5 minutes of stretching or a quick walk around the block can make a difference. And sometimes the best thing you can do is simply disconnect and give yourself permission to rest.
You know what? That's actually really good advice. Sometimes I get so caught up in the go, go, go mentality that I forget to just pause and take a breath. But speaking of rest, I think we both know what's coming next. The dreaded S word, sleep.
Ah, yes. Sleep. The ultimate recharge.
I get it, sleep is important, but let's be real, between work deadlines, family commitments, and trying to have some semblance of a social life, sleep often feels like a luxury I can't afford.
I understand. But Makati Medical Center really emphasizes the importance of making sleep a priority, especially when it comes to managing stress and blood pressure.
Okay, I'm willing to listen, but you're going to have to convince me that those 7 to 9 hours of sleep are actually worth sacrificing my precious free time.
Think of it this way. When you sleep, your body finally gets a chance to repair and restore itself. Your heart rate and blood pressure naturally decrease, giving your cardiovascular system a much-needed break. It's also when your brain processes information, consolidates memories, and gets rid of unnecessary data.
So it's like hitting the reset button for both my body and mind.
Exactly. Waking up refreshed and well-rested can help you tackle another day with more energy, focus, and resilience.
Okay, that does sound pretty appealing. But honestly, I often lie awake at night, my mind racing with all the things I need to do. It's like my brain just refuses to shut off.
That's a common problem. The Daily Tribune article actually offered a simple yet effective tip for dealing with those racing thoughts.
Intrigued. Tell me more.
They suggested keeping a notepad and pen by your bed. If you find yourself lying awake worrying about something, write it down. This helps get it out of your head and onto paper, freeing up your mind to relax.
Oh, that's actually a really good idea. It's like I'm giving my brain permission to stop obsessing over it because it's safely recorded on paper.
Precisely. It's a way to create a mental boundary between your waking hours and your sleep time.
I'm going to try that tonight. But even with all these great tips, the diet, the exercise, the sleep, what about those situations where the stress is coming from the work environment itself? Like, what if you're stuck in a toxic job that's literally making you sick?
That's a crucial question, and it's one that the Makati Medical Center didn't shy away from addressing.
Okay, let's hear it. I'm sure a lot of our listeners are in that very situation, feeling trapped and helpless.
Well, their advice was surprisingly blunt. Sometimes they said the best thing you can do for your health is to walk away from a toxic job.
Wow, that's a bold statement.
Yeah.
But I can see their point. No job is worth sacrificing your health and well-being for.
Exactly. And while we've been focusing on the physiological impacts of stress on blood pressure, we can't ignore the psychological toll that a toxic work environment can take.
Absolutely. It can erode your self-esteem,
Yeah.
drain your energy, and even lead to depression and anxiety.
Right. And those mental health struggles can further exacerbate physical health issues, including high blood pressure. It's all interconnected.
So it's like a domino effect. A negative work environment can trigger a cascade of negative consequences for both our mental and physical health.
Exactly. And sometimes the bravest and healthiest thing you can do is recognize when a situation is no longer serving you and make the difficult decision to walk away.
That's a powerful message. But I also realize that it's not always that easy. For many people, leaving a job, especially in a tough economy, isn't a realistic option. What advice do the experts have for those who are stuck in a stressful job and can't simply up and quit?
They do. And it really comes down to a shift in mindset. If you can't change your external circumstances, focus on what you can control, like your own reactions and responses.
So it's about finding ways to cope with the stress, even if you can't eliminate the source.
Exactly. And the Daily Tribune article highlighted this fascinating concept they call bahala na. It's a Filipino phrase that roughly translates to leave it to God or come what may.
Okay, I've heard that phrase before. But to be honest, it always sounded a bit passive to me, like just giving up and letting fate take over.
I can see how it could be interpreted that way, but in the context of work stress, it's more about accepting what you can't change and focusing on doing your best with what you do have control over. It's about letting go of the need to control everything and finding a sense of peace in the middle of the chaos.
So it's not about giving up. It's about choosing your battles wisely and not letting stress consume you.
Precisely. It's about finding that sweet spot between taking action where you can and accepting what you can't. It's a delicate balance, for sure.
It makes me think about those traditional Filipino dietary practices we talked about earlier. Maybe there's a deeper connection there, like a wisdom that comes from living in a culture where resourcefulness and resilience are key to survival.
I think you're onto something there. This bahala na mindset might be a key part of how Filipinos have managed to navigate challenges and maintain a sense of community and well-being even when facing adversity.
That's really insightful. So it's not just about adopting specific practices like exercise or diet. It's about cultivating a mindset that helps you weather the storms.
Absolutely. And part of that mindset shift involves practicing gratitude, focusing on the things you're thankful for. Even small things can have a profound impact on your mood and your ability to cope with stress.
It's like choosing to see the glass half full instead of half empty.
Exactly. And when you start looking for things to be grateful for, you'll be amazed at how many you find. It could be a supportive colleague, a completed task, a beautiful sunset, or simply the fact that you have a roof over your head and food on your table.
It's about shifting your focus from what's stressing you out to what's bringing you joy.
Precisely. And that simple shift in perspective can make all the difference in the world.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation. I think the key takeaway for me is that managing work stress and keeping our blood pressure in check isn't just about following a set of rules. It's about cultivating a holistic approach to well-being. That encompasses our physical, mental, and emotional health.
I couldn't agree more. It's about finding what works for you, whether that's incorporating traditional dietary practices, embracing meatless Mondays, finding joy in movement, prioritizing sleep, or adopting a bahala na mindset.
And remember, we're not medical professionals. So if you have concerns about your blood pressure or any other health issues, please consult with your doctor.
Absolutely. Now we'd love to hear from you, our listeners. Have you experienced work stress impacting your blood pressure? What strategies have you found helpful for managing stress? Share your experiences and insights in the comments below.
And don't forget to subscribe to the TheEMTSpot's Blood Pressure Podcast for more informative and engaging episodes on all things blood pressure. I'm Samuel Harrison.
And I'm Olivia Harper.
Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.